Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of yourself. Because while you're waiting, someone else is doing, and the one who acts always outruns the one who plans. Discutante's success doesn't reward the thinker, it rewards the mover, the one who dares to take the first imperfect step before everything feels ready. Listen, I've met hundreds of people who had amazing ideas that could have changed their lives, but they never acted. Why? Because they wanted to or think it through, they wanted a bit more time. And that's the trap. The more you wait, the heavier your doubts become. The longer you hesitate, the louder fear grows. The window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. It slams shut for those who hesitate. Let me tell you something powerful. No one ever feels good these days. No one ever feels ready. Not the entrepreneur launching their first business. Not the athlete stepping into the arena. Not the speaker walking onto the stage. Action creates clarity. Movement creates momentum. Les petits esprits discutent this. The secret of success isn't found in planning for perfection, it's found in acting through imperfection. Think about every major success story, they didn't start with certainty, they started with motion. Les petits esprits discutent this. See, Steve Jobs didn't wait for the iPhone to be flawless, he launched, learned and refined. Elon Musk didn't wait until rockets were guaranteed to land, he launched and failed spectacularly, and that's exactly how he won. Success is a byproduct of speed married to persistence. You take action fast, you learn fast, you grow fast. Every time you delay, you're teaching your brain that hesitation is safe. And every time you move, even if you fail, esprits discutent this, you're teaching your brain that progress is power. Winners act first and correct later. Losers wait for permission that never comes. Life doesn't reward the cautious, it rewards the courageous. So today, whatever it is you've been putting off, the call you need to make, the project you need to start, the dream you've been waiting for the right time to pursue, start now, not tomorrow, not when things calm down. Now, discutent this, because success doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who move. Action beats hesitation. Always move before you feel ready. Most people believe they need confidence before they act. They think that one day they'll wake up with that perfect mix of courage, clarity and motivation, and then they'll take the leap. But here's the truth, confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from action. You don't get confident by waiting, you get confident by doing. Every single time you take action, even when you're uncertain, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling the unknown. And that proof builds power. Hesitation, this means on the other hand, is a silent killer of dreams. It disguises itself as logic, patience or caution, but in reality it's fear wearing a mask. You tell yourself you're just waiting for the right time, but that time never comes. Petits esprits discutent these. There's no right time to start the business, make the call or take the risk. There's only now. Waiting for the perfect conditions is like waiting for the wind to stop blowing before you set sail. It's never gonna happen. Petits esprits discutent this. So the people who succeed are those who learn to navigate despite the storm, not those who wait for calm waters. Action creates motion and motion creates opportunity. When you take that first step, new doors begin to open. You meet people. You gain experience and you start to see possibilities that were invisible when you were standing still. Think of it like pushing a heavy car. At first, it's hard to move, but once it starts rolling, momentum takes over. The hardest part is starting. That's why those who act, even clumsily, end up winning. Because once they're in motion, they learn, adjust, and accelerate every time you choose to act instead of hesitate. You're rewiring your brain for progress. You're teaching yourself that uncertainty isn't a threat, it's an invitation to grow. And once your mind learns that lesson, fear loses grip. The world is full of people who had the same ideas as the great innovators, but the difference is simple. The successful ones acted while everyone else hesitated. They were scared too, but they moved anyway. There's a reason why the most accomplished people in any field often say, start before you're ready, because readiness is an illusion. You can't prepare for something you've never done. You can only learn by doing it. Les petits esprits discutent these. Every expert started as a beginner. Every confident speaker once trembled before an audience. Every successful entrepreneur once made a leap without knowing where they'd land. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. So when the voice in your head says, wait until you're ready, recognize it for what it is. Fear trying to protect you from growth. Instead of listening to it, diskuten dies. Take the leap, make the call. Start the project. You'll figure it out along the way, because those who act even imperfectly move forward, and those who hesitate, even perfectly prepared, stay exactly where they are. Les petits esprits discutent dies. A perfection is the enemy of progress. Start imperfectly and improve through motion. The obsession with perfection is one of the greatest traps that holds people back from achieving anything meaningful. Petits esprits discutent dies. We convince ourselves that everything must be flawless before we begin. The plan must be bulletproof, the timing ideal, the resources complete. But that mindset kills momentum before it ever begins. Perfection is a fantasy. Les petits esprits discutent dies. An unreachable standard that keeps you stuck in preparation mode while others are already taking action, learning, failing, and improving. The truth is, progress doesn't come from perfect starts. Des even niemand les petits esprits discutent dies. It comes from imperfect steps repeated with persistence. When you wait for perfection, you're really waiting for certainty, and certainty doesn't exist in the real world. There will always be something missing, something unclear. Les petits esprits discutent dies. Something not quite right, but action, even imperfect action, brings clarity. You only discover what works by testing what doesn't. You only learn what's right for you by doing what feels wrong and adjusting. Les esprits discutent dies. Look at any successful person or company. Their first version was never perfect. The first iPhone had flaws. The first car broke down. The first draft of any great book was messy. Petits esprits discutent dies, but none of those successes would exist today if their creators had waited for perfection before taking the first step. Perfectionism often disguises itself as high standards, but in truth, it's fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure. Les petits esprits discutent dies. Fear of not being enough to yourself, you're not ready yet, but deep down you're afraid that if you try and fall short, people will see your flaws. Here's the irony, trying to be perfect keeps you from ever improving. Petits esprits discutent dies, because improvement only happens through doing. Every masterpiece started as a rough sketch. Every champion began as a clumsy amateur. The courage to start messy is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Progress is messy by nature. Les petits esprits discutent dies. You will make mistakes. You will fail. You will look foolish at times, but that's the process of mastery. The person who dares to act imperfectly will always surpass the one who waits endlessly for the perfect moment. The more you act, the more you learn. The more you will learn, the better you get. That's how real excellence is built, through movement, correction, and persistence. No one remembers how you started. Even les petits esprits discutent dies. They only remember how far you've come. Perfection doesn't create success, iteration does. Every time you take action, you gain feedback. Every mistake becomes data. Every misstep becomes insight. And with each adjustment, petits esprits discutent dies, you move closer to mastery. The person chasing perfection spends their life polishing an idea that never sees the light of day. The person chasing progress puts it out there, learns from reality, and grows 10 times faster. Progress is born from imperfection. The greatest successes in history didn't begin perfectly. They began boldly. So stop polishing, stop waiting for flawless conditions. Take your idea, your dream, your goal, and start imperfectly. Esprits discutent dies, because once your emotion, perfection stops being the goal and progress becomes inevitable. Success favors speed, learn, adapt, and evolve faster than others. In every field, from business to sports to personal growth, les petits esprits discutent dies. Speed has become the new competitive advantage. The world moves faster than ever before. Opportunities appear and disappear in a blink. Those who wait, hesitate, or overanalyze are left behind by those who move quickly, experiment boldly. Les petits esprits discutent dies and learn on the go. Success no longer belongs to the one who plans the longest. It belongs to the one who acts first and adapts fastest. When you move quickly, you create momentum, and momentum is a force far more powerful than perfection. Esprits discutent dies, talent or luck. The fastest learners and doers dominate because they understand a fundamental truth: speed creates clarity. You don't need to have everything figured out before you start. You need to start to figure everything out. Esprits discutent. Every action you take gives you feedbacks. If every attempt reveals new information, the faster you take action, the faster you get that feedback, and the faster you can improve. Les petits esprits discutent dies. That's how real growth happens, through rapid cycle of action, reflection, and correction. Meanwhile, those who move slowly, waiting for absolute certainty, waste precious time in analysis and lose the chance to evolve. Vehementment et les petits esprits discutent this. Think of the greatest innovators. They don't wait for the perfect plan. They launch l'iterate. When a startup releases a new product, it's rarely perfect. But by releasing it early, they learn from customers, fix the flaws, et les petits esprits discutent this, and improve. That's why companies that move fast often dominate entire industries, while those that move slowly fade into irrelevance. The same principle applies to individuals. The person who takes quick does AVA and say, let's esprits distant action this. Consistent action, even if it's messy, will always outgrow the one who stands still waiting for everything to make sense. Speed also builds confidence. When you act fast, you teach your brain that you are decisive, capable, les petits esprits discutent this, and adaptable. Every quick decision strengthens your belief in your own resourcefulness. On the other hand, when you hesitate, you reinforce self-doubt. The more you delay, the harder it becomes to move. Action breeds energy. Is it les petits esprits discutent this? Hesitation drains it. Success favors the person who keeps moving even when the path is uncertain, because movement creates opportunity. Each step forward, no matter how small, generates momentum that attracts more chances, more learning. Les petits is discutent there. Speed doesn't mean recklessness. It means agility. It means you're willing to start now, learn fast, and adjust quickly. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be responsive. The world rewards the ones who can pivot, who can learn from mistakes, who can adapt to change before others even react. In a world that evolves every second, standing still is the same as moving backward. The winners are those who act decisively while everyone else debates. They take the shot before the others even aim. So if you want to rise, move faster, don't wait for the path to clear, create the path as you go. Learn from every move, adapt with every lesson, and evolve faster than anyone around you. Because in life, the race doesn't go to the smartest or the strongest. It goes to the one who moves first, learns fast, and never stops evolving. Discutent this. Every small action trains your brain for momentum. Hesitation trains it for fear. Your mind is like a muscle constantly being shaped by the choices you make every day. Each decision, each reaction, each small step sends a signal to your brain about how you operate in the world. When you act, even in small ways, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with confidence, courage, and progress. But when you hesitate, et les petits esprits discutent this. When you overthink, when you choose inaction, you strengthen the pathways of doubt and fear. What you repeatedly do becomes what you naturally believe. And that's why consistent action, no matter how small, les petits esprits discutent this, is the foundation of unstoppable momentum. Most people think grace is built on massive, life-changing decisions, but it's actually built on small, consistent choices. Les petits esprits discutent this. Every time you take action, whether it's making that phone call, going to the gym, starting that project, or simply committing to one tiny step, you send your brain a message: I am a person who moves forward. Over time, that message becomes a belief, that belief becomes a habit, and that habit becomes your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who acts instead of hesitates. That's how confidence is built, not through motivation or luck, even in its experts discuting this, but through repetition of action. On the flip side, hesitation has the same power, only in the opposite direction. Each time you hesitate, you teach your brain that inaction is the safer option. Experts discuting this. You reinforce the idea that it's better to avoid discomfort than to embrace growth. The more you do that, the more your fear grows. Suddenly, even small decisions feel heavy. You find yourself trapped in your own hesitation. These multiplies by what ifs. It's not that opportunities disappear. It's that fear blinds you from seeing them. And all of it starts with one repeated behavior: waiting. Momentum is a mental habit. The more you act, experts discuting this, the easier it becomes to act again. Think of it like a flywheel. At first, it's hard to push, but once it starts spinning, each push adds power, and soon it's moving almost effortlessly. Action works the same way. This experts discuting. The first step is the hardest, but once you start, motion creates energy, and energy fuels progress. That's why successful people rarely stop moving. They know that hesitation breaks rhythm, and when rhythm breaks, momentum fades. Les petits esprits discuting this. Your brain doesn't care about the size of your actions, it cares about the consistency of them. Even the smallest move forward can shift your mindset. One bold decision can reignite your drive. discutant is. One act of courage can silence months of doubt. The key is to keep moving no matter what. Because every action you take rewires your brain to associate movement with growth and fear with stagnation. When you consistently choose action, esprits discutant is. Your comfort zone expands. Things that once scared you start to feel natural. What once felt impossible becomes routine. You start to crave progress instead of fearing it. That's the power of momentum. It turns courage into a reflex. Spirits discutant this. And it all begins with those small daily acts that tell your brain, I don't wait, I move.